This show is clean.
Food coma.
Pretty much.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 781. Hello, it is Mike Matthews broadcasting from the last place on earth, located somewhere in Podcaster Valley, California. Today I bring you part 3 of my Into an interview with the Berkeley singer Idea the Artist. Plus we'll hear from the Madame Rootabega, Valentino, Bison Bentley, and do you gotta bounce? Not if you're a comet lander.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
A comet lander is something that lands on a comet. News on that so you'll understand
Mike's Daily Podcast.
in just a little bit. The last show, the brewmaster killed my azaleas with his root beer. I tell ya that he's one crazy nut, and we love to have him here. But I'll tell you what, he is the brewmaster. He gets the ladies.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I don't know what it is. I mean, he's several pounds overweight. He's kind of scary looking, but
Mike's
the women
Daily
enjoy his presence.
Podcast.
So, speaking of weight,
Yeah.
I found out my BMI index score thing today, the body mass index ratio, and I was not pleased by what I heard. Look who just walked in. Hello, Michael Matthew. What's wrong? Nothing. Go ahead. Say your little intro thing. I'll do what I want. Please? Okay. Hello, Michael Matthew. This is Madame Rootabega, and I don't know what the BMI index is either. Whew. Yeah, it's a body mass index. And sorry, I'm just not situated here at the last place on earth very well today. Michael Matthew, I got your folding chair for you and everything. I like my folding chair. It's fell down. Ouch. That in the business is what we call a pratfall. Look who else just walked in.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, why are you talking about BMIs and stuff like that? That's disgusting.
What the BMIs? No, well, I had my health class today. It was the finale of my health class. It was a potluck because it's a healthy eating class, and we all brought foods following healthy eating rules. You know, lots of vegetables, lean meats, not too much dairy, that kind of thing. And we brought it in, but before that, we kind of went over our numbers that we have, and it just kind of took the air out of all of our balloons. We've been doing this for 6 weeks, and then just seeing like how much further we have to go. It's just sort of like, not like, look how far you've come. It's just sort of like, oh, look how far you got to go. Jeez. So now I know how those fat people on The Biggest Loser feel when they've just been broken down and yelled at by the gay guy or the angry woman or the very hot African-American man. Dulcinea? Dolvet. That's it. I watched that show a lot. But, you know, they look so... They bust their buns working out, and then sometimes they don't lose any weight at all or any pounds. But the doctor that leads our class says that kind of weight loss is ridiculous, is dumb, because you'll never keep that weight off. It's best to develop the good habits that we've been developing in our class. And I did lose some pounds from last week, but I don't know. You know what? You just gotta believe in yourself. Am I right? Yeah. So forth. But my BMI says that I should be, in order to be at a normal weight, I should weigh, and I'm like 6'1", I'm supposed to weigh 160 pounds, between 160 and 180. And that just seems like impossible to get to. I will have to not only walk my dog every day, but walk your dog every day, and everybody else that listens to this podcast dog, and then walk between everybody's houses. I just basically will not ever have any time to eat. So I think but that doesn't sound healthy either. So anyway, baby steps. That's what they say in this, and you know, in any major undertaking. Baby steps is the way to go in the beginning. Kind of like sending a spaceship to a comet for the first time. You heard that we did that for the very first time. Well, Europe did it. Had never happened before. After 2 decades of preparation and $1.3 billion in taxpayer money, a potentially disastrous problem emerged just before the Rosetta spacecraft deposited its landing probe onto a twirling comet hurtling through space 40 times faster than a bullet. This according to SMH.com. It was the thruster on the top of the probe. Something was wrong with it. A mechanism intended to counteract the recoil of impact. The thruster was meant to ensure that the probe, called Philae, didn't hit the surface and bounce back into space. Despite those concerns, the European Space Agency decided to proceed. They had come so far, they were so close, and besides, Philae still had its anchoring harpoons, which would shoot into the surface of the comet at a speed of 260 kilometers per hour, which is roughly 161 miles per hour. It was latching the probe onto the comet like a tick. Given the delicate feat before the scientists, such a device was vital. Delivering Philae to the comet's surface requires all the finesse of depositing a pro football linebacker on a trampoline without a bounce. Yeah, that sounds easy. But what the scientists didn't know, as they watched Philae's excruciatingly slow 7-hour descent, was that this ultimate anchor was in fact just as non-functional as the thruster. When Philae hit, it ultimately stayed and was reported to be stable as of this morning, even sending back the first pictures ever taken on the surface of a comet. But its stability wasn't due to any anchor or thruster. A well-placed landing and luck, it seems, played a significant role. Even then, it's unclear what exactly happened yesterday morning as the jubilation of the historic moment gave way to anxiety over the future of this mission. Philae, or Philae, in fact, landed 3 times. According to the research team's magnetic field analysis, the probe hit like a bouncy ball. It first struck the comet's craggy surface, then bounced more than a kilometer back into space before floating back down onto the surface 2 hours later. It bounced again, then finally settled. Jeez, I don't want that job. I mean, they're heroes for being able to get this thing to land on it, but man, that is nerve-wracking. What do you think about it? Isn't it a miraculous thing? What do you think about BMIs? What do you think of the Madame Rootabega's name? Somebody in class actually cooked a rutabaga or made a rutabaga, and we were all excited talking about it. That's the kind of class we had. Don't you wish you were in it? Email me, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. I read your comments on the section emails from email. Also email me there if you'd like to be a guest on the show or if you'd like to sponsor the show. MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. We also have the website, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. All my past interviews are there. Also the blog and the daily podcast picture. And links to where to listen to the show in iTunes. Subscribe to the show in iTunes. And you can also comment on the show and rank the show. If you do that, that helps our rating. And if our rating goes up, then more people find out about us. It's cool. There's another great way to help out this show is through Facebook. Like the Facebook page at facebook.com/MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST. And when I post a new show, share it with your friends and more people find out about us that way too. There's also links to where to find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spreaker, Mixcloud, Podomatic, Yelp, Tumblr, and Twitter. And the Amazon deal of the day is there at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Click on the Amazon icon and buy whatever it is you're going to buy on Amazon through that, and that helps us out. It doesn't change the way you shop, and it supports our show called MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com.
Into an interview.
I'm speaking with Idea the artist, Ines Beltranina.
Hello.
There she is, Idea.
Hello.
She's right there. We're speaking on this apparatus called a phone, and it's going quite well. And you, let's see, what's my question here? What are some of your most memorable venues that you've played at? Now, you mentioned you have a connection to Santa Ynez down by Santa Barbara. So I'm wondering, have you played at many vineyards?
Actually, no, I haven't played at many vineyards. In the Santa Ynez Valley, one of my favorite things to do is to play Jones Fest. It's a festival that happens in the Santa Ynez Valley, in the city of Santa Ynez proper, at this old house owned by the Jones family. And they put on this great folk rock music festival, every year, right around June 10, 11, 12. And it's my favorite day of the year because it's just so fun. And it's a really cool free festival with just tons of good music and really wholesome people. So that's my favorite place to play in the valley. There are some breweries and things like that, Fig Mountain Brewing Company. And, of course, Soho is a really fun venue to play if you're ever in Santa Barbara. And there's a cafe called Muddy Waters. It's also very fun. But I'd say probably my favorite Bay Area venues are the Great American Music Hall. I played there actually in a different group, but it was just incredible to have your sound managed so well and to sound so great. My favorite Idea the Artist gig actually occurred at a place called the Makeout Room in San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
It was just phenomenal. It was a combination of the band was really vibing that night. We had practiced pretty hard, and it was just this perfect, start of the set to the end of the set. We were just amazed. Recently, we did a gig at the Foundry for the Non-Market Zine release. This is a magazine that my friends and I started, and it's a Bay Area arts magazine. And we played the release, and it was this weird old warehouse. The sound was great considering, but, difficult because we were all sort of managing it ourselves. But it was just magical. I think sometimes with venues, it's about the experience. You want people to feel connected to you. So if your stage is too far away, too rigid, or just, if you have really poor sound and you really can't handle it, those types of things really affect the feeling of playing. To me, the best gigs are the ones where we manage to kind of play as a band together and forget that we are, plugged into amplifiers and things like that, when we can really return to just the songs. I think that's the most powerful thing. So venues that support that is a big deal. And I think that should be the goal of a lot of venues in the world.
Where was that Foundry at?
The Foundry is, it's kind of a secret venue in Emeryville.
Oh, interesting.
You can find some things about it, Foundry Nights. And I think you can probably find that on the web, but it's in this warehousey area, and it's this beautiful old steel foundry that's been converted into artist spaces, and they have one beautiful venue area that is, there's like a hanging rock climbing wall and a swing. It's a really interesting venue.
And you make a magazine too?
I am one of the people behind the Non-Market Zine. Yeah, it's a really cool Bay Area magazine that we're getting started with, and it's had one issue so far, which was very successful, and we're moving on to the second issue right now. So for Bay Area artists who are interested, they can actually submit work to Non-Market Zine, and that's with 3 Zs at gmail.com, and we'll consider putting your art into a magazine and then putting it in a show. We write about musicians, we write about writers, we include samples of writing, sculptures, things like that, and we talk about, anything that we can get in some form onto a page, whether it's writing about the artist or showing an example of their work, we try to incorporate.
3 Zs. There's 3 Zs in Market Zine. Non-Market Zine.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
3 Zs. Okay. Cool. And that's... Okay. That's awesome. Wow, all these... And then you do art, too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You do some great art. Wow.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm an oil painter primarily. And I love it. It's a very, very calming activity. A lot of other things that I do are writing can be a little overwhelming because it's just such a huge project, and music is something that it's an art piece that happens in time. So you kind of have